Hello, everybody. Welcome to our artist talk for this week. I know there's been sort of a lack of artist talk for the past month or so. I've just been busy building some stuff and gathering some stuff, but we are back. And with me today, I have a really great artist. And if you were been following along in the Dwight Residency channel for a while, you have seen his work before in one of our Friday breakdowns because I just enjoy the art he does a lot. And so with me today, I have the great artist in the space, Terrell Jones. Terrell, I'll give you the floor quickly to introduce yourself for those who haven't seen the breakdown or haven't heard you speak on the many Twitter spaces we've had.
What's up? Terrell Jones. I'm a digital artist based out of Michigan. I was doing traditional art up until probably around 2017-ish, and I'm just do like digital now. Is that
And
enough, or do you want me
yeah,
to?
that's good. And
All right,
then,
all right.
so I remember for those wondering, like Terrell, you've been around in the space for a while. I think you're coming up on a year now, no?
Uh, in a sense, yeah, because I originally had minted in late March of last
Mhm.
year, but I hadn't sold that piece until late August. So, in a sense, yeah, but at the same time, like I wasn't really enthralled into the space until
I see.
August.
I see, and it's because I remember like coming across your work early on. And I'm like, damn, this is fucking insane painting work. And then seeing you stick around, and then the Batman piece sold, and then uh, a few more pieces sold. Like what is it? Uh, the I remember it was the fresh off the lot, and then the hit my jack. I don't remember when those sold, but I remember looking at those and looking at them and like, damn, dude. And then for those who are listening, we broke down fresh off the lot and Happy Place and Birthday Boy on our breakdown. But it's like it's great now because like ever I mentioned this on Friday on the Friday talk, and I was like, part of this is to look at the artists and see how they evolve, and you sir have done that by like a mountain of work. Like for for those who are listening, the man's made it on to super rare. He sacrificed 10 goats, summoned the demon.
Finally, yeah, no, it was a journey to get there, definitely. Probably even since like, cause I'll just go over kind of my like journey in this space a little bit.
Please.
So I had this job. I had got this job back in, I want to say it was 2018. Um, and it was FedEx. And I was just working in the warehouse and whatnot. And I was doing that while doing art. And, through the years, it was kind of fine. I'm kind of the person that'll just take it on the chin. Other people be like, oh, I hate this job, blah, blah, blah. I was kind of able to just like put it in the back of my mind and kind of like take it on the chin.
Mhm.
But during the pandemic, a lot of people like lost their jobs or they had to sit down for a while. But for us, we kind of tripled our hours.
Yeah, you guys hit
So
overtime because of the
yeah,
shipping.
exactly. So other people they're able, some people's stories in this space is like, oh yeah, I had to stay at home, so and then I started to research NFTs and blah blah. Me, I didn't have that story at all. I just started working more, and I'd go into work and I'd have art ideas and be like, oh yeah, when I get home, I want to do this with my art. I want to do this. I have this piece in my head, and then I'd get home and I'd be too drained to do any of it. So in May of last year, I had quit my job. But even earlier in that year, I had this friend, and we'd always tell each other like, "Would it be so crazy to get paid to do art?" And like, basically, someone just pays us, and we could just go and do whatever art we want.
Mhm.
And we had found out about NFTs and especially Foundation. And at that time, Foundation just seemed so exclusive, and they had like a Discord, and they tell you like, oh, if you want to invite, go ask on the Discord, and then you go onto the Discord, and it's such a like a cesspool.
Yeah.
It's just like people like every minute just like spamming art, and it was just like there was no way to get an invite for that. But me and him, we would always tell each other like, if you ever get an invite, like if I ever get on there, I'll give you an invite, or you ever get on there, I'll give you an invite. And he just so happened to be able to get on there. But at the time, you weren't really able to give someone else an invite unless a piece of yours sold. So
Mhm.
he was like, I can't really give you an invite until this like my Genesis sells. So and I was like, oh, like straight up, like I'll buy it. Like I just need that invite. I need that invite. So then I had bought his piece, and I was able to get an invite off that. But then I had minted my art, and I definitely had just spent too much just on all of that, just even through like buying his piece and then minting my piece. And at the time, I didn't know that there was a Twitter art community. I didn't know that you had to be on, whether it be Twitter Spaces or a Clubhouse.
Mm.
So we're over here like talking on Instagram. I'm over here like, why isn't my piece selling? And so yeah, that definitely sat for some months until I had got more involved with the art side of Twitter. So this is after I quit in May. I just knew that I wanted to be able to pursue art. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Like at the time, my piece hadn't sold. Like I wasn't thinking that it was going to be through NFTs or anything. I just knew that I wanted to be able to pursue art as a job. And uh, in July, I was definitely just taking my work more serious. I was trying to try to put more stories in my art, trying to make it relate more, try to make it more, not even necessarily more, I don't know the word for it, like important, but just to make it more, because a lot of my art that I was doing before then, I was just doing stuff because it looked cool to me. It didn't have much of a reason after that. It was just like, I use these colors because they look cool to me, or, I had this person right there because it looked cool. It wasn't really a deeper meaning to it at all. It was very surface level. So I just knew I wanted to make more, not even to say serious art, but just more art that had more meaning to it.
Mm.
And at the same time, on my Twitter, I used to it was not an art Twitter at all. Like if you scroll back far enough of my Twitter, it's just a hella memes and
Okay.
songs and yeah. So no, I was definitely that person that was just posting anything. Like I was an artist on Twitter, but I wasn't on art Twitter. But I knew that I kind of wanted to get onto that side more. So
Mm.
I definitely started to more seriously post my art, started to post art more consistently. Through there, I was able to find this guy had found my art, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of like this group chat?" So then he put me in a group chat, and then like through that group chat, I was able to be in another group chat, and then that group of chat had more to do with NFTs. So
Okay.
I was more surrounded with people that were actually selling NFTs and actually had collectors and whatnot. So through there, I was doing this thing I call a soft shell taco, where one of my friends had this collector that was trying to get their piece, but they were outbid. And I was like, oh, like, blah, blah, blah. And then I like followed them and I was like, oh, like you got good taste in art. And then that ended
I
up
see.
fitting on one of my pieces. And that was like my first piece that sold. So when I was talking to you before about that first piece that had sold that had made me put my head down and run through walls, it was that piece. And since then, I've just been in this crazy space, just going, trying to grind as hard as I can.
And man, like you have been grinding, like landed on super rare, sold out all your pieces, all your pieces on super rare, minted another one on super rare, the the good and evil, which I remember. Like also, I'll say this quickly. I was staring at the your super rare pieces, and as you were talking aesthetics, I was just like looking at the eyes in the figures, and I'm like, I could sort of envision or like sort of see the wonder and like sort of that because I've also like used to work in like physically demanding jobs where like you go home and you have no fucking time for art, and all like you would do is like just dream of like, oh man, I wanna be able to create. And it's like you have been able to capture that sense in almost every in all the eyes that I've seen. Like that's all
Yeah,
like that's crazy to me. It's actually you can sort of see that even in the spiritual warfare, because it's sort of a heavier topic, but you can also see that sort of like wonder in the eyes too. And it's like I had talked to you before, like like I mean, eyes are pretty important. Every artist posts one eye drawing, or shares it at least one point in their life. And then Murakami, and you utilizing his eyes in what is it? I think the graduation, uh, the end
yeah.
job piece, right? And so it's like eyes are pretty important and symbolically so, right? So to be able to achieve that, that is pure skill, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Even with that, like, I try not to take so much credit for that because really, that's just me wearing my influences on my sleeve. Like, I look up to people like Hikari Shimoda, like that's probably my favorite artist right now. Murakami, like you had mentioned, Yoshitomo Nara is another one where I just love how they translate the eyes in their pieces. Like they kind of draw you in, and that's definitely something that I wanted to emulate and put into my art. That probably started with the Joy piece. That's the
Hmm.
Batman one, and people resonated with that so much that that kind of birthed my Joy and Wonder series, and kind of just birthed like my whole style now. I kind of just wanted to find my own style and be able to build a world. Because a lot of times when I do styles or I do certain things, like I can kind of get bored almost. That's why you can see me like switching styles a bunch. Like a lot of that comes from boredom, I
Hmm.
think. And I knew I just wanted to, I had so much experience even through like I kind of skipped that part of my story, but I used to do a bunch of commissions, and there was definitely a period of time where I wasn't really saying no to anything. So I was doing a bunch of different types of things, whether I'd be doing like a business card one week and then I'd do like a brochure, and then I would do an album cover, song
Okay.
cover. Yeah, so I would do a bunch of different things, and people would want a bunch of different styles from me. So I was kind of able to train my pen in that way. But I knew even through that, like I know a lot of my favorite artists when I look up to their art, they have a distinct style, even if they're doing a bunch of different types of things. Like one I can think of is George Kondo. Like he's probably my goat. When I can look at a lot of his art, like he'll have a bunch of different styles, but he'll still have that same like Kondo touch to it. You can always
Mm.
tell that it's him, whether he's doing like monochromatic
Cool.
stuff or just hella like abstract stuff. You can always tell that it's him, and I kind of wanted to be able to do that with my art as well. And
Is
kind of have my own style that I can build off of. What are you saying?
is is he the dude that did the Kanye cover?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean by immediately recognizable because I saw two figures. I was like, "That's that." Yeah, that feel. Yeah, okay. I've seen those sort
Yeah.
of abstracted figures before, and it's like the Kanye cover. And for those who are
Yeah.
curious, the Kanye cover, I actually don't know which album that is from. I just know that,
Uh, my beautiful dark twisted
uh,
fantasy.
and I believe it was a drawing of an interracial couple having sex, um, with
Yeah,
his
and
figures.
actually,
Mm.
fun fact, he made like so much art for that album. Like he probably made like over 10 or 11 pieces
Okay.
uh f- for that album. Like yeah, it's a bunch of different like alternate covers and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's actually sort of an unexplored aspect of art and music. The paintings that get done for certain albums, like the actual artworks, not just like a quick cover, but pure artworks, because it's like it holds 10 times, like, to me personally, like much more significance than just a simple album cover.
Definitely, yeah. I'm definitely that person that if there's alternate covers or different album art, I'm definitely there trying to look at that. Even just another Kanye one, like Cause is another favorite artist of mine, and he had did the 808s and Heartbreak cover, and like that vinyl one has like a bunch of different art with it too.
The work of I remember funny enough, I remember becoming familiar with Cause when I was like just like starting out, like as a kid on YouTube, like watching stuff on YouTube, and then seeing a figurine of his and like a random PewDiePie video back then, and I was like, "Oh, that's a little cool, like Mickey Mouse figurine sort of thing." And then realizing who Cause is, and I was like, "Oh wow, this
Yeah, no,
person's
he's
like."
he's yeah, he's crazy. That's another one like how I said Murakami has so many different like avenues to be able to get his work. Like a lot of people they'll get mad at Cause for being so almost like commercial now. But like he has so many different styles and mediums that he works in, whether it be like the statues, the figurines, he has plushes and he has like his actual like paintings. And like a lot of people think that some of his stuff is like digital, but like he
It's
is
not.
like you can go to his Instagram and like he's doing those lines himself, like with paint, and they're so clean.
That's the so like I well, so you said you used to traditionally paint, right? So have you painted with oils at all when you used to traditionally paint, or no?
Nope.
Yeah.
Actually, I only painted for like, I want to say it was maybe 6-ish months, if that. So like, yeah, it was grand opening, grand closing. Like, I began painting and ended painting in 2014.
Shit. I legitimately, if anybody looking at your work would assume, like would assume that you're exactly like Quan. And for those who are listening, Quan is another great artist in the space. He has a traditional background, and I was telling him like, man, you have a traditional background, don't you? He's like, yeah. And so it's like you've grown so much digitally that like you're painting stuff that I can't paint. And I've said this before. It's like my biggest trouble is like translating how to traditionally paint into digital, just because it's like I treat the brush as it's a blender brush and a brush at the same time, and that's not how Photoshop works. So it just doesn't work, right? But you're able
Yeah.
to, and this is, and your stuff is done on Procreate, right?
Yep. All of it. Yep.
And so it's like also on an iPad. That's just
Yeah.
like,
See, another thing. Okay, so I had quit painting. I had quit painting in 2014 because I had a bad experience with like this auction
mm,
gallery thing. But another reason why I had quit was I was never able to get the detail that I really wanted to in my
okay,
pieces. At the time, it was really because I had bad materials. Like I had terrible brushes. Like they were like very ratted out, and I probably wasn't preparing the canvases like I needed to be. But I was never able to get down into like the nitty gritty that I really wanted to. So with the iPad and whatnot, I'm able to like zoom in, and I definitely love that aspect of it.
yeah, no, it's that's sort of one unexplored aspect of like digital painting that fine artists don't realize is like your even the small works, you can add so much detail in small works that you wouldn't be able to add in real life. That like the biggest tip your professors will tell you at university is go bigger. Oh gee, thanks, all right, I'll spend more money on my canvases and my paint, let's go. Right, and then with the digital like sphere, it's like you can just with a click of a button you have the biggest size canvas possibly for your computer. um Sometimes to the detriment of the speed of the computer, but that's what we do.
Nah, I feel it. I feel it.
uh,
Even oh my
mhm.
gosh. See, another thing is with that, yeah, with how much detail I like to put into my work and how clean that I like it to be, my stuff would have to be as big as like those Mirakamis that are like as big as this giant wall and stuff. And I
But
just don't have
like,
the pain or the time, you know.
well, okay, but like, so when is that gonna happen in the future? I know you keep it's Terrell has turned us all into money 22 believers, and so you're gonna get that money. So when are we gonna get those big ass like warehouse where Terrell just shows up? And it's like, yeah, this is my warehouse full of paintings. Because
I want to get on that. I definitely do. I went to LA recently, and I was able to be with like Roswell, if you know him. I know you know him, but if people listening know him, and Tyler, Your World. And we had went to this one gallery that really had me like thinking like, oh, how would I set up a gallery for myself? Like, we had went to what's his name? Oh, I'm mad that I'm blanking on his name right now. He's this artist. He does paintings where like he'll this last exhibit, it was like uh the paintings were of like this figure that had like a ski mask on, and he was like had broken into like these like expensive looking houses and stuff. I forget his name. I'm mad that I'm forgetting it. But I just
is
like
it?
the way that he had his what
I was gonna. I'm probably thinking of the wrong person, but is it the dude who did the Mike Tyson ones with the blue bodies?
nah, that's Corey Van Loo. Shout out to him though. He's a goat. I love him.
Yeah, he really is. Oh,
Yeah, nah, he had the first legitimate bid on one of my super rare pieces. But
oh, nice.
yeah, no, I forget the dude's name, but I just really like that he had set up the gallery, and it definitely had me thinking about how I would set up mine. And like he had like a figurine in one corner. I was like, oh yeah, I definitely like want some figurines along with like paintings and maybe like plushes here and there. Like, but yeah, no. Moving forward, I'm definitely gonna start thinking about that. Like, I'm kind of collecting a certain amount of paintings, even with just like the super rare pieces or
Mhm.
like the birthday boy or you know, a certain amount of pieces where I'll be able to have like a joy and wonder slash good and evil exhibition or something. We'll see.
Like, man, like the oh, see, you shouldn't have mentioned figurines either. You know,
Oh, man, it's coming, man. I just need to figure out 3D, man.
well, it's like because like I mean, every great artist, and I really mean this, every great artist, right, hasn't tied themselves to a medium ever, right? They're always fluid, right? And
Right.
so far, you've shown enough, like you're showing fluidity, right? And then to see some of those figures, right? And we've spoken about sort of how iconic they are because of the elements of Black joy and how important also they are just for being Black works in America, right? And building that culture, that foundation for people in America that hasn't been built, right? And so it's like
Yeah.
we haven't seen like right your inspiration for example for cause right and then Murakami the figurines we've seen that from so many artists but we haven't seen them from artists or like especially Black figures like that so it's like seeing a figure like for example the voyage right or even the journey begins as big as like a cause figurine like a life-size cause figurine like that would be fucking insane.
Trust me, it's on the way, bro.
Oh
Yeah, no,
my
I just need to
god.
figure out some things with the 3D. But yeah, definitely that. And then also, I'm working on characters to also bring into the world that I'm creating. And yeah, you'll definitely get some more like, because one big aspect that I think of when I'm thinking of like Cause, like one of the biggest reasons why he's a favorite of mine is just the character design. Like, I look at his character how I look at like a Mickey Mouse. Like, it's so iconic to me. Like you look at that character or you look at aspects of that character. Like if you put like the bones that are on the side of his like companion characters on like the side of a hat, I'll be like, oh, that's Cause, or like the two X's or whatnot. So just like his aspect of like iconic character design is definitely something that I want to take some inspiration from.
Yeah, it is, and it's like again, it's like it goes back to like the building of the world, right? Where it's like you can inhabit it, or you can sort of build around it as well. You know,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
trust me, it's on the way, man. I just I've got a lot going on, but I'm working on even right now, just working on trying to theorize this nifty gateway drop. And
oh, hey yo,
yeah,
hey. So I've heard about this because I'm in a group chat with Terrell and a bunch of great artists. But to those who have not heard this, this is just the alpha that you have just dropped on them.
yeah, man. Coming soon, man. Mid April probably.
Yo, Nifty Gate. That's actually that's exciting. That is very exciting.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's literally crazy. Cause I had put a tweet out there like basically like I want to do a nifty gateway drop and I'm gonna start working on the art. So I'm ready when they hit me up. But and then like one of the people hit me up like the next day. I'm like, oh, you guys came too quick. I'm not ready with the art yet. But nah, it's definitely a blessing, and I want to do some really cool stuff with that. I don't want to give up too much, but I'm planning to do different levels. Just kind of like what I was saying, different levels for people to be able to get in. Because there's some people that they love my art, but they're like, I can't afford like a super rare piece, or I'll get bid
Mm.
out on like a foundation piece, and I want people to be able to get in at lower prices if they want to. So I'm definitely gonna have like an open edition option, and different edition sizes, probably like a 5 edition and then like a 1 of 1. But yeah, I'll definitely have like an open edition. I'm trying to make that as crazy as
Yeah,
I
that's gonna
can.
be. That's actually. See, you literally just said that as I'm looking at like some of Cause's figurines, and I'm seeing the prices at them, and like they're pretty affordable. I'm like, hey, I see. I like you have big plans, and you're already on the path, sir. Like,
Hey man, I'm trying, man.
so I'm curious a bit actually, because like I'm more like looking at your work, right? I get really curious about your process, you know, because usually like for artists, or like at least in university, all my teachers were like, you gotta do plein air paintings, right? Or like for those who don't know what plein air is, it just literally means painting outside. Um, and so it's like it just means you go paint from life. You try to learn how to paint stuff as the light moves, and it sort of teaches you how to get stuff down quickly, right? And so it's like, n- how what is your sort of like process within the digital aspect of it? Like, are you also still like, going to life drawing classes and all that jazz, or are you just like at
I've,
home?
I don't, I don't think I've ever been to a life drawing class.
No?
Nah, like, I didn't go to art school. My high
Well,
school didn't have a super extensive art program.
well, sorry. What about like life drawing sessions? Have you ever been to one of those, or would you ever go to
No,
like? No.
would I? Maybe. I'm not against it. But yeah, no, I've never been to one.
I no, sir. You're fucking. You're just okay. How the fuck are you getting this good, bro? What the fuck? I'm here like, all
Man,
right, Terrell's out here painting trees. Like, you have to be painting trees, like something like outside.
nah, that would probably actually benefit me though. I probably should get into that. Because when I actually start to make, because a lot of my stuff is like very portrait-ish,
Mm.
it's a lot of just like figures and not a lot of like, the background would be very simple to kind of draw the eyes more towards the figures. But when I'm starting to create these worlds, I'm gonna have to start to actually make, landscapes and stuff. So I should probably actually start working on that. But
I mean, it's like it's sort of helpful without the class, right? Like, fuck the classes. They're not sort like they're like cool if you want to learn like a few tips or tricks on like how to mix paints or whatever, right? But it's like you already know that, right? But it's just like I remember my dad, because my dad wanted to be an artist, but according to his parents, right, or his mom and everybody around him, his grades were too high for art back then in like the 50s or whatever in Egypt. No, in the 70s, and so he just went into political science. But the man loves art so much that he still like kept up with it. And so he used to say like, "Oh, you just do those like little practices, and you won't realize how quickly you'll get good." And then I remember just going to life drawing sessions and just like doing my own thing, right? And then seeing, and like the cool thing about life drawing sessions and like those painting groups without a teacher, right? Only like the
hmm
person who moderates the model, who says like, "Oh, you guys get 30 minutes, draw this, come back," it's, you get to realize you're not sort of tied by the teacher telling you, "All right, we're going to draw this figure, whole figure," no, everybody, like, you'll find people like painting a portrait out of all, like, there's a whole naked figure in front of them, but they just choose to paint the portrait. That's fine.
hmm
And so it's like it's the once you're able to like see that freedom, then you're just able to explore what you need to learn how to draw, right? Like, oh, I'm struggling with this, and then I didn't realize how quickly you can get so good until I did it, and I was like, oh shit, this is different. This is a different fucking game, you know. And so, like, if you plan to do it, sir, I recommend it. It's like, even you don't even have to like touch real paints. Just with your iPad, you will be able to get good so quicker than you. Well, I mean, you've already gotten good so fast. Like, you've been so Terrell mentioned off recording. He's been you've we talked about you drawing. I asked you how many hours you draw a day, and I think you said like around 8 to 10 when you were like busy as like going, or no, 8 to 10, and then when you were busy as all hell, you were going around 15 hours. No, right?
Yeah.
And so
So
it's
yeah,
like,
a
mm,
busy day for me is probably around, yeah, 8 to 10. But yeah, when I was like putting my head down, going through walls, like after that first sale, like those first maybe a month after then, like I'm a person that I love to watch movies and shows. I love to listen to music, and at that time, I was just listening to spaces and drawing all day, like no movies or shows, hardly any music. Like I think I only started to listen to music again at maybe like 2 weeks after that. But like it was just
damn.
like listening to spaces, like absorbing that knowledge, and then just like drawing,
And like,
like sun up to sundown.
and like, so was that? I imagine. Was that help? I imagine the spaces was helpful in the Twitter aspect, and then also the drawing. Like, did you notice how good you got?
Yeah, definitely. With that, yeah, the spaces definitely helped me learn about the community
Mm.
and, places to navigate the community, where to go, where not to go, who to trust, who not to trust. Just different aspects of the Web3 world. And then, yeah, I definitely got way better uh, with the art doing that because I was kind of stacking up pieces. And even at that time, I think I had known that I wanted to be on Super Rare, later on. and I was definitely just stacking up pieces because a lot of the pieces that I was releasing around that time, like when you had talked about those foundation, like that foundation run,
Mhm.
where I was still like 6 pieces in a row. Like I had already finished those pieces by the time that I like got introduced into Web3. So um, those were pieces that I was working on. Like when I had quit my job, I was like, okay, I want to do art more serious. Like those were pieces I had finished around then. So that's like the fresh off the lot, a happy place. Like those pieces were done around that time. So after I had sold that first piece, like I just released like more pieces that I had already had finished while working on pieces like Birthday Boy and the first Good and Evil and some other stuff that still hasn't come out yet. But yeah, soon. But yeah, no, working on those pieces, I was definitely like stacking them up. So some of those first pieces that I worked on, I think Birthday Boy was the first piece that I had worked on in this style. And I always think that's kind of cool because it's like Birthday Boy is kind of like a birth. But
Mhm. Oh,
uh, so with working on those, and like if I worked on like let's say 7 of those in a row, I was able to go back to like the first ones that I had worked on and use different techniques that I had learned along the way through doing all like 7.
okay. I see. You all right? That's okay. That's like sort of retroactive level up right there. You know, it's I remember I was I had the I so like I remember trying to record an artist talk with the creative director for Metakey when we were before we were doing our meta crew. Like, well, that was in the works and people were hyping it up, and then for like a solid 2 months, I would record it, and then Maddie would leak the alpha, like nullifying my whole recording, right? And I'd be like, oh fuck, right? But then I mean, like it worked because it would just like excite people. But in one of those talks, like Billy was like, here, let me explain to you how layers work, and it was like fucking magic, bro. Like I didn't understand a single fucking thing. I was just like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, yeah, okay, that's how you get a shadow. And this man is like, yeah, so like it works like real life. And I'm like, I don't. You just hit overlay, and it did the thing that you were talking about. I don't know what you mean, bro.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely reminds me that I did not answer your question about my process at all. So I'm gonna go rewind. With me, a lot of these pieces, I'll think of it and have it in my head, and I'll just kind of work through it in my head, whether it be like what I want the background to be like, or what colors I want the character to wear, what I want the story to be in a general sense, and then I may put it on like a notes app, like because some people have like trouble naming their pieces and stuff, but I'm like the opposite. Like I can like think of like a whole concept for like a piece, or I used to do music for fun, so I would think of like whole like albums and like song names and stuff, but like never actually do the songs. So like it's kind of the same with the art. Like I can think of like whole pieces. Like I have this note on my notes app. There's probably like 40 different, just like some of them will be like names of the pieces, or some will be uh like actually I can go look at it right now. I think one of
Please.
them, like some of them actually turned into pieces that are out now. So yeah, no, literally I have Birthday Boy here. It says Birthday Boy dollars on shirt, and then it has like a strawberry emoji and then like a strawberry cake emoji. So like some of them I'll have like the name of the
Wow.
piece, and then others I'll have like what'll be happening in the piece, just to kind of like jog my memory of what's in my head already. um so yeah, I'll have like pieces in my head, and then I'll put them down on the notes, and then I'll just have a list on the notes, and then sometimes I'll just visit the list, like, can I use any of these for what's kind of going on right now in my head? Can I, do I want to tackle any of these right now? Because there's certain pieces on here where I'm like, I will do this down the line, but I know that my skills aren't where I want them to do them yet.
I
They say that the wisest man is the man that knows that he knows not, and I know that I'm not able to do some of these things that I want to accomplish yet, but um working on some of these other pieces, I'll be able to kind of build into that.
yo, damn, you, that was a great quote actually. The wisest man knows when to not. Is that
The wisest man, I probably butchered the quote, but the wisest man is the one that knows that he knows not, so he knows
okay?
that he doesn't know.
I mean, yeah, no, shit, yeah, no, okay. I understand. I understand. Like, it's I because I remember my whole like I like my thing is like I have a quote as well that I like to give to artists, but mine is like better a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? And it's like essentially like people was like, oh, but you're an artist. It's like, yeah, it's just like it means work up your fucking skill so that it's better to like have the skill under you for when you're prepared than to be clueless in the middle of like working, And so it's like it's also just like one of the things that they try to teach you in. I remember I was talking to one of my painting profs because he essentially his style was so different and it was very illustrative, right? Like it was concept art shit. Well, like it wasn't
Mhm.
concept art shit, but like his painting style, like his brush strokes was concept art shit, right? So I was talking to him about it and he was like, yeah, I used to be a background painter um for animation studios. And then he goes like, yeah, like all concept art is like largely inspired by John Singer Sargent, right? And this dude's paintings are fucking beautiful. Like they're like from afar, like you look at them and you're like, holy fuck, how are they so smooth? How did he get the lighting so right? And then you look at his some of watercolors and you're like, I mean, I looked at one of his alligator watercolors and I was like, hey yo, what the fuck is this? Like, how did this man achieve this, right? And then the guy says, like, zoom in on the work. And then I zoomed in and I was like, this is the messiest motherfucker I've seen. Like his brush strokes, bro, are like messy as all hell. And he goes like, yeah, he knows when to stop. And I was like, what do you mean? Right? Like just like a dumb fourth year student, like, as if I shouldn't have known that in the last 3 years of painting. Right. But he's like, yeah, like like, and then my other teacher would say like, man, my favorite his like he would say this consistently. He's like, man, I really like the underpaintings of students more than the final works. And I hit him with like, why? And he's like, because they're like much more fluid and freer, right? And then connecting the two, it's like, yeah, they're usually it's like when you know how to stop, you're able to like go into the flow motion, right? And then you're flowing from place to place. And then when something is like done, you're like, cool, I don't need to rework it. I don't need to overwork it. This is what needs to be done, right? And then that's also part of like the wisdom of like, knowing when to stop and also knowing when like your skill can't go further, right? Because that in itself will aid you in the future. Because like okay, I can't tackle this right now, or even if you've like gotten that skill, you're like, oh, I've tackled this enough to where I don't need to overwork it. There is wisdom in knowing when to stop, right? And so that's a great
Definitely.
answer. I mean,
Nah, definitely. Yeah, nah, that makes perfect sense to me. That's definitely something I want to work on with my art because with my process, um, and the way I do layers, I kind of work on like I think for this last piece, spiritual warfare, I worked on
mm,
like 9 different Procreate files. So like one will be for like the character's skin, and then like another one will be for like the shirt that he's wearing, and then like another one would be like the vehicles that the angel and the devil were on, and then like another one's like the angel, and then like another one's like the devil. So like I kind of work like that, and I'll just kind of stack them on top of each other at the end. And with doing that, like that has its benefits to kind of make stuff look clean or be able to change like a whole thing without changing the whole thing.
mm,
Um, but that does take away from like the flowiness that I can have uh, with my art. I can look at other people's art where they're working on like way less layers, and theirs may not be as maybe say like clean as mine, but it'll be way more flowy. It'll have way more I don't know, just like flowiness to it.
well, we've talked about James Jean, right? And it's like
Yeah.
you can have both, right? Like there is no fault. Like one thing I realized, and I was actually gonna bring this up with Cause. When you said all his like stuff is like hand painted, right? Is like I'm a person who shits on acrylics all the time because I just like smooth like blending. That's my shit. But
Hmm.
I realized looking at James Jean's work and also now looking at Cause, right? It's like acrylic has its benefit and like people who know how to utilize it correctly, right? And like they're able to utilize their medium for its full use. Like acrylics are like these vibrant, solid colors that you can get like same color over the place, no tonality difference if you do it right, like popping shit that lasts We actually don't know how long it lasts for because it's fairly new. That's the funny thing, right? Like you realize like a bunch of museums now also have like a bunch of paintings that they don't know how they're gonna fucking age. We're gonna find out in the next 50 years. But
That's
it's like
funny. I never thought of
yeah,
that.
it's like one of those things where you're like, hey, we don't know how this shit gonna age. This is fairly new tech. Um, but it's like James Jean, like somebody who knows the nature and how far acrylics can go. Like he's not his works can be fluid, right? But also if you look at his process, it's like literally the man is layering just like you with tape, right? He's just like he tapes off the part that he doesn't want to add this layer of paint on, and then the other part that he needs to like resemble a shape. He'll go on, and that's pretty much like sort of like a Photoshop different file, but just in the same work, right? And it's like there's no there's like it's like you're utilizing the tech for its full ability in there, right? And then you can also get flowy stuff if you decide to like do it like in a different medium, for example, right? Or like in a different sort of brush, right? And there is no sort of fault in that. Also, well, how do your studies look? I'm curious. Or do you do studies at all?
So that's another thing. I always say I gotta tell people I'm lazy, and they don't believe me, but I'm just lazy in the sense where I'll do studies, but it won't really be a study. It'll be like a whole piece. So like if you've seen like the meta villain piece, that was a light study, but I was like, I'm always gonna try to make things work for me and killed multiple birds with the same stone. So that was a study, but that was also a piece that I sold for 2 ETH. But that was also a piece that got the attention of like Vince Van Dough. So like I was trying to do multiple things with it. So yeah, I'm usually just studying on pieces that I still release.
Okay, you're flexing. You're flexing. All right. You're flex. Okay. I see. I see. Damn. Okay,
Man,
that's
I'm
actually
trying out here, man. I'm
well,
trying.
that's fucking insane. Like, I have my studies. I literally have a painting that I've been looking at for 3 months that I haven't touched because I'm like I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for what I want to paint, and you're out here just like, yeah, my study is I'm gonna turn it into holy fuck, damn.
There's something to be said about that too. I do definitely do that as well. Um,
Well, I mean, it's there is nothing wrong with having painting sit, right? It's like it lets your brain work on different things, and it's like I imagine you noticed this when you were working on early on, right? When you said like you're accepting like business cards and brochure, like although there were all these things were different, they've also aided your artistic creation down the line in some way or another. That's what I've realized at least is like when I'm doing different stylistic things, when I come back to like my original like painting and drawing, it's all still random. It all still helps me with my painting and drawing, if that makes sense.
Definitely, nah, definitely. That's what I was talking about with those. It's just not even like it's certain things like have you ever seen Karate Kid?
I have. Oh, I used to
So
watch that
it's
shit
yeah.
VHS at my grandma's. Let's go.
So it's like the wax on, wax off thing where you're learning one thing and you're doing one thing, but like it can also help you in this whole different thing, Because like it's not like the stuff I'm doing now looks like brochures or it looks like pamphlets and stuff, but some of those techniques that I learned while doing the pamphlets or the brochures, like I probably learned like the clipping mask feature. Like I've learned that I learned that super recently. Like if I said how recently, it would be embarrassing. But
I don't even
yeah,
know what that. What is the
clip,
clipping mask? I don't even know what
clipping
that
mask is
is.
basically let's say I have a layer right here. Let's say I have a layer and it's a square.
Mm.
Um, and let's say I put a layer over that, and I start to draw outside the square, inside the square, just like a lot of stuff. If I press clipping mask, it would just clip into the square, so it would only make the only visible parts like in the shape of the square. So it's almost like,
So
in a
you,
sense, it's almost like wrapping onto the square, in a sense.
okay. God damn.
See, but people knew that way before I knew that, and I learned that recently, and it has saved me so much time. I used to be that person that would literally like erase the outsides of stuff and just like, oh my gosh, I did so much. And also, there's this other feature that's called like reference, and
What the
basically,
fuck is this?
if you do like a bunch of line work, so when I do like line work and then I go over it with like the final lines, I call those like hard lines. So let's say you do hard lines and then you want to color them in. You just make that one a reference, and then you could have another layer, and then whatever layers that you make, as long as that other one is the reference, you'll be able to color like inside the lines like instantly, like just fill basically. And I didn't know that for the longest, and I would literally like manually like fill in every layer, like go onto the outsides of the lines and whatnot, and like or I guess insides of the line, and like just spend too much time just trying to stay inside the line and then like eventually fill when I could have just been like reference this and then boom fill.
Wait, what the?
Yeah,
So
nah.
like, I know so I don't even use layers. Like when I paint, I'm a one layer person, and like that's just my thing. And it's like I use Photoshop for pencil drawings and nothing else other than like photo edits and stuff. And then I go to Painter because they have like this one brush that literally mimics oils, and so I just use that. But it's like I'm a one layer person, and so it's like you're just able to like just click and fill, like done.
Yep, basically.
Hey yo, that's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Nah, you're telling me. I was doing that other stuff for the longest time. Like this is stuff I've learned like within the past couple months.
Like I know Photoshop had like the bucket tool and it's sort of like regulated to like what's contained within black values, but it's like they don't have like a reference thing like that at all. Like Photoshop's reference tool is like, here, we're gonna put this picture next to where you're drawing it. Like what? Damn.
Yeah, nah, digital. Look, man. As long as you can, pick up things along the way,
You're
especially with like Procreate, digital is like very rewarding for me.
okay.
There's hella stuff that I don't know how I would approach it if I were to do it traditional. That could just like if someone saw me like
Mhm.
this one like one of my friends had told me one time they're like, oh, I want to see like your process, like I want to see you paint one time. I'm like, I would probably look like a crazy person the way that I'm like just flipping through multiple like layers, and then I'll go up and like press one thing, and then I'll go down here and like circle this one thing, and then it'll just look wild. So I'm like, I don't know if I want you to see me in that state. Like I probably look like a madman.
You know, I mean it's that's literally just the artistic process, honestly. Like I want to see that low key. Not gonna lie, like just see you paint and like draw. Well, me personally,
I'll
because
probably
I like watching like the process videos. I think that's like the coolest thing. That's how I started as a kid. I would just literally Google like speed drawing on YouTube and watch like somebody draw Johnny Depp.
oh, I feel you. I feel you. Nah, I used to do that with like Dragon Ball Z. I
Right,
used to watch
dude.
people like I used to it's actually funny. I used to watch them draw it on like MS Paint. Like I'd be like MS Paint, Dragon Ball Z speed drawing. And but they used to do crazy stuff. Like I was trying to work in paint at that time too, and I just was never able to do what they were doing.
Dragon. Oh, I didn't know people were painting Dragon Ball Z in MS Paint. I was just
Oh
like,
no, they were crazy and actually looked decent, like I said.
what the? I'm. That is wow.
Well, shoot, it looked decent at the time. I'm not sure now because I was a kid at that point.
It's like it's a bit pixelated. I'm quickly just like skipping through a video, but it's like it's. I mean, it's just like pixel art, sort of, but more detailed and like, yeah.
Yeah, nah, they were different, definitely. But nah, that definitely inspired me. I mean, even then though, I was probably watching those around like 2011, 2012 or something. But I didn't get into digital art
Hmm.
um
Until after
until
you.
probably like 2018ish, maybe
Oh,
2017. Like I started off on my phone. I had made these pieces. You can search if you search really hard in my Twitter, you could probably find some. I made these pieces in the Notes app back when the Notes app didn't really have many features. It was just I think they had like I don't even know if they had different brushes. I think they had a few different brushes, but I don't even know if you
mhm.
could control the size or all that type of stuff yet. It was very early, like Notes app. But yeah, I did like these portraits in the Notes app. Um, back when I was like I think I was living with my boss at the time. I was
Wait,
in
what?
Yeah, it was it was a lot.
Please
But
explain.
yeah,
If you
I
don't
was like,
mind explaining.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Nah, yeah, I was like house watching and dog watching for my boss at the
Oh,
time
okay.
because I was like in between places with my family,
I
and
see.
yeah. But
I,
let me see. I'm gonna go see if I can link it to you. But
please.
yeah, I like started off. That was probably the first actual like portraits and stuff that I did with the Notes app.
Notes app.
Uh,
That's actually
yeah,
insane.
and then from then, okay, yeah, I found it. I'm gonna go DM it to you on Twitter.
Please. I remember one time like I had this summer job helping out with my girlfriend at her job because she worked at this Braille company. Um, and I through them I was like I'm gonna get Braille paper. And then right as I was quitting, the day I was quitting, or like the day I was leaving, the dude comes to me. He's like, "Hey, I know you're quitting. Do you want to stay for 3 more weeks and live in the boss's house?" I was like, "Nope, I'm going to
Nope.
Montreal."
Nope.
Wait, notes app. Whoa, what? What?
Yes, man. Nah, I was at that time, bro. Like
On your
a
phone?
lot.
On your
Yeah, with my
phone?
finger. With my finger. Yeah.
With your finger? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, and then
Dude,
at that time, like they didn't even. I don't even think they had like the eyedropper tool where you could, take different grays or whatnot. Like they had a certain set of grays, maybe like 6 or 7, like different, like gray through, or like white through black, basically. So
on
yeah, like a lot of those parts where you look at it, you're like, oh, that's not really blended that well. Yeah, because it was like,
there is
it was
no
literally me just like,
blending.
yeah,
That's on a uh,
yeah. No,
bro.
at the time, like I said, it was like between places. Like all I had was time, and like yeah,
Oh, I need to
it was
retweet
rough,
that
but
right now. Oh my
yeah,
god, dude, like that's actually for like that's on a phone. That's on a phone in 2017.
yeah. I think that was an iPhone 6. I want to say.
Okay, all right, okay. I see you, Terrell. Okay. Um, to those listening, don't fuck with Terrell ever. He'll fucking outdraw your ass in seconds.
I,
Jesus.
I I wouldn't go that far.
You see, you
I'm
say
not.
that,
I'm.
and I'm staring at like drawings that I would struggle drawing on fucking Photoshop, and you have drawn them on phone, sir, on Notes app.
Look,
What?
man. You know, I always try to use the tools I have to the best of my abilities. And I'm still not as good as I want to be. Like I still don't know a lick about color theory or like composition and blah blah. Like I didn't go to art school, so I'm gonna have to learn those things on my own time. But
See, well,
like
like,
once I start
well,
to figure those things out, I'm gonna be even better than I am now.
so it's crazy to me that you say that you still need to learn composition because you have your paintings, especially the ones on foundation, have really good composition. Like,
I've heard
well,
that.
and so like one thing I've actually that's the thing because I personally have never studied composition. You as an artist, like one of if you want to call it a talent or a skill, is like if you're after enough practice, you naturally get a good eye for where stuff goes. And a composition is like cool. It's like the mathematical, well, like if you want to apply like the Fibonacci sequence to your composition or whatever the fuck, right? Like, okay, let's do like math equations. Nah, right? But it's just like it's like a composition is just aimed at placing things that look aesthetically pleasing where they are and do not look off or lead stuff or like lead the eye somewhere unwanted, right? And so it's
Yeah,
like after enough practice, like you really don't need to learn composition. You already have composition. I mean, there.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Even just like, cause yeah, people were telling me that, and I appreciate that. People were telling me that, like, oh, like I couldn't tell that you didn't, go to art school or whatnot, and like I thought that you knew about composition, cause like they were telling me about like, even just like the lines in A Happy Place. They were telling me about how like the lines and like the car or the building or whatever, they kind of all point back to the girl, and like I never realized that until they said it. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But nah, like looking at that, I was like, oh, that actually does make sense. And It's
Everything
interesting
leads
that
to.
yeah, it's interesting that my my brain just did that, but I was like, okay, all right, cool.
Well, also like, I mean, your eye for texture as well. Like, if I didn't know Terrell at all, I would have been like, yeah, okay, Terrell has been traditionally painting for years. Because I have seen like this legitimate style of painting in museums, and people would be like, oh my god, right? And it's like that fact that you didn't even go to art school, yo, you realize how many art students you're gonna make fucking mad, bro? Like, I
Hey man,
remember,
I can't control that, man.
hey, just flex on them. Money 22. Let's go. You know? It's like I remember like first year painting class in university, right? Expecting everybody to be like shit at painting like me. And this one girl just comes in and like just paints this portrait, bro. And I was like, why are you here? And then like it was like that's when I realized university itself isn't a place for like I got told this verbally by one of my professors, although he's still one of my favorite professors. He was like, oh, if you wanted to learn how to traditionally if you wanted to learn technique, you should have gone to college. And I was like, hey yo, what you mean, sir? This is university. And then I realized, oh, okay, I'm here competing with people who already know how to paint, and also people who don't know how to paint for shit at all. And it's just like it's this weird like thing, and then it sort of allows like some emotions to run rampant, which also like that's a thing we've talked about in the space before, um, where it's like this space like has a shit ton. Like we'll let if you don't check your emotions, we'll run through your emotions like fucking a train, and
Definitely.
a lot of that is like the comparison, and then it's like I guarantee you there's like some traditional artists looking at this are like, okay, all right, this man went to art school, and then if you tell them I didn't, they're gonna pull their hair out. And like, I'm gonna say this again, like, dude, your car paintings are like, I don't think you realize, sir, like how effectively, and I think I said if I can say this to Terrell in person in the artist breakdown, I will. The car rims, bro, like the car rims, oh my god, I don't think you understand how good they are. Like out of all things in a happy place, like I'm gonna point out, it's like, dude, you nailed like that is so realistic, like Paul Reed shit. Do you know who Paul Reed is? I think you've seen his work, no?
I've probably seen his work. The name sounds familiar. I can't think of anything off the top of my head with it, but the name does sound
He's
familiar.
the
Let
dude
me
that
see.
says Minotaur Man. Here, I'll send you a quick thing of his. Um, his paintings, like his paintings are mixed media. So I remember asking him once, and I think he uses like Photoshop for texturing, and then it's also acrylics and stuff. But that level of shading, on like the metallics, like I was talking and it sort of almost broke my line of thought because I was just looking at it again and my brain just like, hold on, that's a very realistic sort of shaded rim that is like very nice.
Well, I
And so
won't
like,
take all the credit for that, but because I do use references, you know,
hey,
but
everybody, I mean, there everybody uses references. There's no problem in that. Like,
see, I think that's why that's another reason why I had started to progress
mm,
even quicker than I thought I would. For the longest time, I wasn't using references, and I don't even think it was a thing.
okay,
There's those people like I won't use references. I don't need those. I wasn't one of those people. I just don't know that I knew the value that they would actually have, you know, to use those. And but yeah,
and
through actually using references and stuff, yeah, it definitely progressed like my stuff like tenfold, I would say.
references like the greatest of artists use references. Like some of them even just use references of themselves. Like it's not like it's weird to me when artists look down on references. Like, oh, I don't use references, and then they'll even like sometimes the same artist will quote James Jung Ji, right? Not realizing that this man spent 4 years in the Korean military, lying to his fucking superiors, telling him he doesn't know how to draw while actively drawing everything he fucking saw for like hours on end. Like I remember watching a documentary about him, and he's like, "Yeah, I told like my superiors, I don't know how to draw, so they just like stuck me somewhere and like told me to do this. And then 3 years later, they found out I know how to draw really, really well. And like the reason why he doesn't use references is because his brain has become the machine of references. He's practiced enough works that he knows where everything goes, right? Starting artists, we don't have that. Like you have visualization, that's cool, right? But it's like your visualization can only go as far as your practice at some point, because then it's like, oh, there's this cool image, or at least, I mean, for my head, like myself, like I when I think visually of an idea or something, I get the whole idea, but I don't get all the details per se. I can't fully envision them until I get my references and I place them where they are and I draw them and I do studies of it, right? And you for an artist to reach the point where they don't need to do that, you actually just got to do the practice. And it's like if you're not doing the practice, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And like, well, also, have you noticed this? Because like my dad is the one that points this out all the fucking time. Um, he when I was even when I was a kid, he would tell me like, "Oh, do you like?" Because when we would go to my grandma's every morning, right before school, we would stop at like this news shack, right? And the dude would have Mickey Mouse comics for like £1, and I would buy them religiously because like it's fucking Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and and no way am I gonna miss out on that. And he would always go like, "You see how those like cartoon figures are painted?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, he literally every time he'd be like, "Those artists know how to draw the human body realistically, and the reason they're able to achieve like Mickey Mouse to the degree that Mickey Mouse looks like him is because they've hit their foundation and now they've decided to break what they want to break, right?" And so have you noticed that even though like now you're like finding your style, right? And then as you're developing your style with the Good and Evil series and the Birthday Boy, that's like that practice has still aided your style regardless, although it's a completely different sort of depiction process where it's like a realistic sort of practice, right? It still helped, right?
Definitely, definitely, yeah, yeah. You were just like, yeah, like you said, a happy place and fresh off the lot. That definitely aids these more, I'd say cartoony, but also there's like a realistic aspect to it, with like the good and evils and the joy and wonders. But yeah, it definitely aids it. And yeah, that's just something that I also realized. Like I'm like, whether it's like the Akira Toriyamas of the world or people that I was looking up to that were doing the more cartoony stuff. I kind of had a sense that they knew like what's anatomically correct and what isn't and whatnot. So I knew that I even if I wanted to do more cartoony stuff, that I would need to know at least something about what's going on with like anatomy and whatnot. Like I probably can't do that like so well, but I have a general sense of like this is where the shoulder goes. Like there's a muscle right here. There's something that like looks like this above the elbow. There's something that looks like this in the hand. Like I kind of have a general sense.
Mm.
I could probably still get better at it. Obviously, I'm always growing and learning. But yeah, definitely, those pieces definitely aided with the stuff I'm doing now, and will definitely help with the stuff I'm doing in the future because I want to kind of even blend those styles even more. So with like a happy place and fresh off the lot, like there was definitely an emphasis more on the background more than any of my other pieces. And I want to continue that and kind of blend that into what I'm going to be doing now with like the joy and wonders and kind of having way more intricate backgrounds. I think a lot of it is a
Mm.
lot of these pieces, like if I really wanted to, I could crank out like one of those a week probably. But a lot of these artists like they'll be working on pieces for years, and I don't think I ever really realized that. But also, I don't feel like I have that time right now. you know.
Yeah, and it's
But
like again, like you can just right. We have hard drives, right? There is no. It's like a piece can just be saved, right? You can just like, return to it in months. So
yeah,
maybe dude,
definitely.
I was actually gonna ask you. It's great that you mentioned the backgrounds because that was gonna be sort of my next question. Because like I was looking at uh the the Good and Evil series, and then hold on, I'm trying to get the whole thing. Super just being slow as hell, and I noticed like, hey yo, hold on, the sky, something changed. you know, where it's like you're sort of, I mean, because of like Superstar, Voyage, and Liftoff, they're all space, right? And then the journey begins. It's a simple sort of blue sky with clouds, and then did you paint that bird animation, or is that like a video? That's a little bit of a
No,
clue.
I definitely painted each frame of those
Hey, yo,
on
that's
Procreate. Yeah, that was that was a lot. That was a lot. But I knew with those ones, I had started each of those out as like their own. It was just like a standstill, like JPEG, you know.
mm,
But with the second one, Liftoff, I was like, I know how I see it in my head. I know that I
mm,
see it like the thing shaking, or the pulsars, pulsing or whatever, or the stars moving in my head. But I don't know if everyone else is going to be as imaginative as me. So that was like me kind of started off like, I think I need to figure out a way to move this. So and then I had like started with like the blasters, and then I was like, okay, that's cool, but like I still need like the rocket to move in some sense. So that's when I started to have like the middle part moving up and down, and then like the wings going, and like the wings flapping. And then I was like, okay, this is cool, but like I kind of want the background to move a little bit. So and then I had like the stars moving. And then with having that one be in animation, I was like, I can't have the other two just not. So now I was like, let me figure out what I can make move on these ones. So yeah, definitely that one. The the birds in that one, that was definitely something that was like stressing me out. I was like, I know I want to have birds flying, but like how am I going to attack this, how am I going to approach this? And then I think I had found some bird animations, and then I was like, okay, let me figure out kind of how they had them move and stuff. And yep, I think I probably made maybe three of those like all together, and then I kind of like layered like the same ones on top of each other at like different rates and whatnot. And then yeah, I was happy with how that came out, because I didn't want it to be too kind of realistic looking. Like I didn't want like cartoon boy and then like real birds in the back, but at the same time, I didn't want it to be too choppy. So I think I got it down to a level where I'm happy with how I had animated those ones.
I think it's actually the way it's animated is perfect. Like I was looking at
Okay.
Liftoff, and I'm like, yeah, here Terrell goes making artists mad again. Yo, it's like, man, you actually don't understand, brother. It's like some of your some of your blending and your shading is like professional artist oil shading. It's like it's the sort of stuff where it's like people will spend years like practicing, and you have spent those years practicing. But it's like they'll literally look and be like, okay, like I just wasted a bunch of money, and you just did it, you know. And then it's
Yeah, no,
like,
it's definitely something I had a focus on and stuff. Like a lot of my favorite artists, George Kondo, Hikari Shimoda, Phil Hale, Victor Castillo, Cause and stuff. Like a lot of the people that I like and that I look up to. I'm a person
yo,
that I save a bunch of stuff.
I just
What's up?
discovered, I just discovered who Hikari Shimoda is. What the
Oh no,
fuck,
she's probably my biggest inspiration right now. I love her so much. She goes so crazy.
dude? Okay, okay, yo, yo. All right, Terrell, Terrell, stop.
Nah,
Like you're gonna flex on. Oh my dude.
I want to meet
Okay,
her one day, man. Nah, she's
yo,
she's awesome.
it's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. This sort of.
Yeah, no, like with her, I kind of feel like I birthed my style off of being inspired by her stuff, but like her stuff is more like, these like ghost white demon looking children. But like I was like, okay, let me go add my own flavor to it. Let me make them black, and let me add my own, stories to it. Whether that's like the good and evils, where it's like the devil and the angels fighting, or it's like the space boys, just like people and like children daring to dream. Just to kind of add my own flavors and stuff, but also like she's definitely like my biggest inspiration. Like if you look deep enough into it, you can see that.
Um, I'm so excited for the next 10 years of Terrell's work now.
Oh,
Mm,
trust me, bro. Like I'm gonna send you one thing that she's done. I'll send it through Twitter, but it's from another one of my artists, favorite artists too. I forget this guy's name. I think it's like so something young, so young, so Ju young, something. I'll figure it out. But
I think I know who you're talking about.
I just love this type of art, and that's like the art that speaks to me, especially right now. And like if you look at my photo gallery, my art's like it's just like filled with her and like these other favorites that I named. So like the Victor Castillo, he goes crazy too. Like his styles is like similar to like a James Jean to me in a sense, but it's kind of like more like cartoony and creepy and nostalgic in a way. It's like kind of like the old Disney style, but like I don't know. I just love the way that he uses lighting and colors. Um,
You know, I'm looking at it
yeah, but
right
no,
now.
yeah,
That's
no. My favorites are definitely like certain people they'll be like, okay, I know all this art history. I know all these artists. I don't know a lot of artists, man. I know my favorites. I love my favorites. I know some other stuff, but I don't know like so much.
well,
Um,
also like I mean, you think you don't know art history, but you, sir, you know modern art history because like these artists, I guarantee you, will be included in like what's called the art history canon in the future, right? Like,
true, true, true.
and so it's like, I mean, what is Terrell gonna paint in the next 10 years? Now that's because
Next
like
10 weeks, man.
10 weeks. Hey, okay, all right.
Nah, I'm playing. Nah, but yeah, no. I selfishly want to be someone's favorite artist. How these people are my favorite artists, and not just like, oh, Terrell, you're my favorite artist. I am obsessed with Hikari Shimoda. Like, I have probably hundreds of her pieces just saved in my phone. They'll be my background and stuff, and like I'll just look at them in awe, and just like zooming in on every single part, and just trying to like just being so like inspired by it, and like I want to be that for someone, or not even necessarily want to, but that would be cool to be that for someone.
Didn't you say? Well, you yesterday you shared like the first Terrell like Stan account. No, wasn't that dude who had like everything just
See,
Terrell?
yeah, but also I don't feel like he's ever even spoken to me, even like commented under a piece. So I don't know. Yeah, it's always interesting to see people. It's even funnier. It's funny on Twitter. And on Twitter, it's like funny because I'm like, okay, like that's cool that you like my art enough to like make it your Avi and stuff. But there's people that paid like thousands of dollars for these pieces,
Really?
or even like tens of thousands for these pieces that you're just like copy and saving, but it's even funnier on Instagram in that sense because I'm like, they probably don't even know, because a lot of us will do that with like the people that we look up to, like, I'll have like a Murakami. Like I probably wouldn't put it as like my Avi, but like I'll definitely like right click and save it, and it'll just be in my phone, just living there, and I'll like have it as like my background on my phone and stuff. But these people don't understand that people have paid thousands of dollars for those pieces that they're putting up as their Avis. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they will until they literally see like it get sold on a secondary price if it even reaches them. Also, here
Yeah.
I'm sharing with you the link of a foundation artist that I think you'll enjoy. Actually, they're literally along the style of Victor Castillo. Um,
Oh yeah. No, this is awesome.
dude,
All right, I'm just looking at the first piece. This is awesome.
right? I did a breakdown on them and I was like, holy shit, their work is insane. Like, and like if you go to their website, they have a whole fucking series that's just like Warlord and like Nursery. Like there is a whole series based on these figures that just nobody's seen and it just exists on their website that are just like insane. You're
Yeah,
like
nah. I want to get this good. This is crazy.
feed off of that, sir. Well, Terrell,
Definitely, nah, definitely.
thank you for coming on. This was fucking great, sir. I think this was legitimately great conversation. Those who were listening have a shit ton more insight, about your process, who you are, and also you dropped some nifty gateway alpha, and so I
Oh yeah,
think
nah, it's coming. It's coming.
uh,
Nah, I appreciate it, man. Nah, we should do it again.
Oh
This
hell
is
yeah,
fun.
I
Time
feel
passed
it.
real quick. I didn't
It
know we were
does.
ending.
It's like we've been recording for an hour and 14 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's like yeah, usually like we'll go and it's like I myself it's been cold and so Montreal is it's 0 degrees today and I'm like okay I
Oh
gotta
my gosh, yeah, no, Canada's crazy. Like I'm in Michigan, but like you guys are even crazier.
no dude it's how cold does it get in Michigan?
Um, it can get to those levels, but thankfully this season it hasn't yet. Right
Okay,
now it's kind of like drizzling, like 35 degrees. Like it's not terrible. Um,
do you have like wood? Do you have like a fire stove? No, sorry, a fire heater, like a stove. A wood burning
nah,
heater, like those.
nah. We just do we just got like the heat going, like the
Okay,
AC.
like that's sort of one of my aims is like Canadian cottage life.
No,
Like
I feel you. I feel you. That
right,
would be
like
that definitely have like a very homey vibe.
it's like have you been to like Canadian cottages at all or?
Nope,
Oh,
I've
have you
never been to
been?
Canada.
Well, have you been to? Do Americans like have cottage life up in? You have lakes in Michigan, right? You have the Michigan.
Yeah, I've never been to one though, but yeah, we
Oh,
definitely have those here probably.
if you ever get if you ever get a chance to buy your own cottage, I'd recommend. It's like a different fucking life. I was like, oh okay, people out here living like this in nature with like the lake just like there. You
Yeah, no,
can
that's
go.
awesome.
It's insane.
Definitely.
And then
Yeah,
like
no, I've seen some of those like lake houses. They look awesome.
oh, and then just like the fire. Like you don't like when it gets so cold. Nothing beats an actual fire close to you. Like legitimately, you can just sit next to that for hours, and you're like, yes, this is me. But yeah, Terrell, thank you for coming on. This was legitimately great. Um,
Thank you for having me, man.
dude, I've included your links below to your Twitter, your link fire, your super rare, and your foundation. And to those listening, go follow Terrell. Go buy. Can they? I don't think they can buy your work. Actually, go bid on. Go,
There's no there, there's some available on Known Origin.
oh yeah, the
Uh, we have one available on Super Rare right now. There's one available on Foundation, like the My Invisible Friends derivative is still up there.
ah
So yeah,
and
there's some stuff.
so
Yeah, buy now before stuff starts to happen because I gave up that Nifty Gateway alpha, but there's way like there's a lot of other stuff in the works, whether it be like collabs or
oh yeah, oh I know
yeah.
some
Uh,
stuff as well. I
yeah,
remembered.
yeah, yeah.
That big things. People are
Very,
not
very big
ready.
things. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, thank you for coming on. To those listening, go follow him. Go buy the art. Go say hello, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.